2024. Sorry, Fran, I didn't see you.
And I stole one of your pens. I borrowed.
Minute, you all set?
Yes.
Okay, no problem. All right, I ask everybody to please stand for a pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. So we have a couple of items for work session. The first is the Sunset Court traffic safety discussion. Chris, I'm going to let you take it away.
All right, thank you, Supervisor. My name's Chris Schregel, Traffic Safety Coordinator. Good afternoon. Supervisor's office asked that I present today related to the traffic safety concerns at Sunset Court. Very quickly, the presentation is going to look at traffic issues past and present, action items that have been taken, and then end the discussion with how to move forward. Sunset Court is located in northwest Amherst, where the road was installed in phases, ultimately connecting Sundridge to East Robinson and the nearby Wegman Kohl's Plaza. The red box on the screen focuses the area that we're going to be talking about tonight. I'm going to be referring to it as the S-curve. Furthermore, this red circle is going to kind of give you an idea of how to orient yourself in the future slides. So Phase 1, as filed in 1976, was approved and installed as a cul-de-sac, and that's where you get the court name for Sunset Court, and that remains today. This is an aerial view from 2002 showing it as a court, and then ultimately this remained this way until Part 2 of the subdivision was ultimately constructed in 2005, extending what was once the cul-de-sac to the southwest. Here's an aerial view of that under construction of 2005, and then at full build out at 2011. This is largely how it remains today. In terms of traffic safety control devices within that subdivision, there are stop signs, although none of them are always stops throughout that subdivision. This is how we would sign it today, allowing free-flowing traffic to go uninterrupted between Aegean and Sundridge. Again, the old roundabout is circled in that dashed red. Also shown on this slide is that connection to Wegmans Kohl's. It does allow residents of this neighborhood to the northeast to travel and get to that Kohl's Plaza that's on the boulevard. Residents' concern brought forth to the supervisor's office and ultimately referred to the Traffic Safety Board is a lot of them have to do with traffic safety. So the wide pavement and 90-degree bend at that old cul-de-sac bulb is a concern. The entire limits of that S-curve along Sunset Court between Caspian and Corfu, speeding, aggressive driving. Ring camera footage was provided showing squealing tires near pedestrians as provided by the resident. Vehicles passing on the left around turning vehicles. A sworn affidavit was also provided by the resident in regards to incidents related to overpassing on the left. Lack of streetlights, gaps in sidewalk network forcing pedestrians to enter the street, and finally the crash history, including one on April 12th where a driver struck a tree and airbags were deployed on Sunset Court. The residents' requests are lower the speed limit, try to alleviate reckless driving, install speed checks by APD, installation of sidewalks where they are missing, additional sidewalks, and addition of streetlights. Specific to stop signs, the resident has asked and continues to ask that the town consider always stops at the two intersections shown here, Corfu and Sunset, as well as Caspian and Sunset. The purposes that they provided were to slow vehicle speeds going into these curves, as well as deterring or calming cut-through traffic. Specific to the lighting request, it has been confirmed that there are no lights in this second phase of the subdivision. I would suspect that the neighborhood did not initiate or complete the full procedure to have those streetlights installed by expanding the streetlight district and providing the necessary backup support of having over 50% of the owners in support. Ultimately, like I mentioned earlier, this was referred to the Traffic Safety Board, where it was reviewed during the January, February, and April meetings. As with all items before that board, we collect data to make data-driven decisions. In this case, traffic counts were collected, approaching the curves in both directions, where the traffic per day was just over 1,100 vehicles per day, and the speeds collected are similar to many of the neighborhoods, residential neighborhoods, ranging between 26 and 33 miles per hour. Nothing too excessive. In addition, we looked at surrounding signage, where we identified that there is a 15-mile curve advisory sign placed in advance of this southern curve. We also looked at crash reports. So it is typical window of review is a 3-year period to review crashes. 4 crashes are on record, as shown on the screen. 3 of those were vehicles that were left the roadway, vehicle intrusion up on the curb line. The 4th crash, which happened in the curve itself, was overtaking a vehicle or a sideswipe incident. And as highlighted, this is the April 2023 incident where airbags were deployed hitting a tree. In addition, the Traffic Safety Board also looked at pedestrian safety. They did confirm that there are missing sidewalks that occurred as a result of the 2 phases coming in at different times. There are missing sidewalks, exactly where that cul-de-sac was extended. The Traffic Safety Board then focused its attention on the bulb, this wide area of pavement, looking at ways to try to narrow that or slow vehicle traffic speeds down. This is something that would likely not happen today. Back in the 70s, they must have allowed this. Today, if we were to think that a roadway would be extended, it would usually end in a stub with a hammerhead type turnaround where it'd be easily changeable to an extension. So this was the first concept that the Traffic Safety Board looked at, essentially converting this old cul-de-sac into essentially they called it a mini roundabout type concept, whereby slowing vehicle approach speeds, putting them into a one-way type direction. And obviously this would come at a cost. But the second concept also provided and looked at by the Traffic Safety Board is simply stripe that to make that curve more pronounced using edge of white striping as well as a double yellow center line. As with instances where there's multiple concepts created, they went out for public outreach, and the owners of the subdivision, not just in the immediate area, but also the surrounding subdivision, were asked the simple question of what would you support, a mini roundabout concept, adding those pavement striping through that bulb, or no change at all. We received 38 total responses. 95% of the respondents desired some sort of change. Bad news is they weren't totally in agreement with what change to do, with 40% looking for the striping solution and 55% seeking that mini roundabout solution. We also mapped those respondents to kind of give us a clear indication if there's any discernible patterns with support. They're kind of all over the place, including directly at that roundabout. It was split 50-50 with those adjacent owners, what they would like.
Chris, before,
Yes.
Can you go back?
Yes.
What are the blue and who are the red?
Thank you, Jackie. So blue is in support of the roundabout, red is in support of striping, and the blacks are no change at all.
Thank you.
But but you weren't, right, so if somebody had like cost on their mind, they were.
That was included.
So it doesn't, the way the question was framed, it doesn't necessarily mean they would hate the other, right? It's either or, pick your best scenario.
Correct.
Okay.
And normally we instruct the Traffic Safety Board not to dwell on costs, and that might be the reason why it was phrased that way. They kind of take that out of the equation.
Got it.
Traffic Safety Board recommendations, ultimately after collecting all the data, they came to the following conclusions or recommendations. 1, they did not recommend additional stop signs to slow speeds, as traffic counts indicated that warrants were not met for multi-way stop intersections. 2, they recommended that sidewalks be pursued. They should be installed in areas where they were missing. 3, they focused their attention on that roundabout bulb and recognized snow removal operations would have to change with either alternative. And 4, they recommended that the roundabout option be pursued should the town board, as well as the highway superintendent, agree to make any physical modifications to this, I shouldn't even call it an intersection, to that bulb. And that vote was 6-1 by the Traffic Safety Board. Specific to the sidewalk, I do want to let the board know that we have moved forward with the sidewalk, awarding a project to a contractor in the fall of 2023. This scope is included, and that work is going to commence in the spring of this year. With that, I'll open it up for questions and comments.
So if we wanted to go forward with the roundabout option, knowing that that could take a little bit of time to prepare construction documents and bid, what would stop us? Would anything stop us from doing a striping project until then?
No. No, the striping would be a fairly easy thing to do. We'd either give it to Accent or have our own highway crews do it. Again, that would be subject to the highway superintendent's being agreeable to that change.
I have a comment, question. I mean, in my mind, it would make sense to try the striping before we go to bid on the roundabout, since it's really almost split, and see if this helps. And if it doesn't help the situation and we're still getting the complaints, then we look at the mini roundabout, but that's probably a nightmare for plowing.
No, minis are, you just ride, the plow blade just rides up over the roundabout. I think that you would have a scenario where that's going to slow traffic down. The other one's, it's not really going to slow traffic down all that much, because you still have the sense of wide road to your right and left. So I don't know. I guess my feeling is that if you say, hey, we're going to stripe it, see how that goes, and then wait to start a design on the mini roundabout, then you're still 2 years out on doing the mini, right? Because you got about 6 months of design, a month of bidding, a month of awards, a month of contracts. So you're a year of just putting together design and bid, and then you're a year of construction. So, you know, I would say you'd be better off talking about doing the striping, you know, this spring, summer, and at least have a schematic level design prepared, so you got some costs associated with the roundabout while you're moving forward with the striping. And if the striping works, at that point you stop after schematics. If not, you just keep going. I don't know what the engineering equivalent to schematic design is, but there's got to be a sort of phase one.
Yeah, preliminary plan, yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, I would say we'd want to stripe and then at least prepare a preliminary design with a cost estimate. We don't know what it costs, right? We don't have any idea otherwise. I mean, you could guess, but it's pretty wild guesswork. I mean, any reason why we couldn't stripe?
Well, I think we need to
no.
ask one other question that wasn't asked. And you didn't ask this question, so you don't know the answer, since they were given what's their preference. Are we going to end up with people here who are against the mini roundabout?
Yeah, I guess the only question though is, I mean, so can you go back to that image of who liked, who supported, who didn't? All right, so
And
there.
which is which again?
So red is the striping, blue is roundabout. So on the curve, which would be the area I'd care about in terms of who hates it or who likes it, you got 2 reds basically sitting in the upper portion and 1 red sitting in the lower portion. I mean, everybody else on that actual roundabout would be blue. So I'm guessing, you know, we can talk to that group, but I I wouldn't so much care if somebody who doesn't live right on the roundabout doesn't like the idea of the roundabout. It'd be the people on the roundabout itself that would need to weigh in on that one.
Okay, I'm just thinking,
Yeah.
for example, when we were going to do the speed
Yes.
humps, we had lots of people come and talk in favor of it, so we thought it was a good idea, and then we got bombarded with the people who hated it.
Well, but we don't really know, right? We're at the end of the day, we're still split 50-50, and we still get people who are upset that they didn't go in.
Yes,
So, I don't, you could say the same thing about the gate at Park School in Chateau, right? There was people who said, we want this. We agreed to move forward. And then when we went out and asked people, 50% said we're opposed. So,
Okay.
we're in a similar spot here, which is I think we're always going to have some people who don't like the traffic mitigation measure. But striping seems straightforward and easy, and we should do that. And then tiptoe into whether or not we need to do the bigger, heavier-handed piece. It is sort of a stupid intersection. I mean, it's a non-intersection, but you've got this cluster, and then
cul-de-sac that,
it's no
then
longer a
became a
cul-de-sac.
road.
Yeah,
Right.
I mean,
Near an intersection and on a curve.
those houses try to get cars into the road, and you're just kind of wading into traffic is bizarre.
Chris? Those 4 crashes that occurred in, is it 3 years?
Yes.
Any substantial injuries with those? I mean, how bad was it?
I don't believe they were injury related. It was just property damage. Is that the question you're asking?
Yeah, I mean, it just seems like a big number in a primarily in a small subdivision.
My issue isn't so much that there were crashes, it's that they left the road. Right? So if they
Yeah.
left the road and there was a kid on the sidewalk, you'd have a problem.
Right. So I did want to reemphasize that it's not just the bulb that's the issue. The resident has made it a point. It's the entire stretch there. So stop signs is not going to come from the Traffic Safety Board. You are always, you have the authority on installing stop signs via public hearing. So if you do want to pursue that, you may, but it's not going to come from traffic safety.
I just think that but I think that if you had striping, you could still carry your speed around that S versus if you have a roundabout, in which case you really have to slow down before you get into the S.
yeah. You've sort of convinced me. It makes sense if we see that it's improved and we don't need it, but do the design, the preliminary design, and see what's happening.
And we could do before and after speed counts.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, the striping would go a long way to try to do that.
Did you have a
We could
question
get
or a
crazy
comment?
and mock up a roundabout there and see how people dealt with it. Right? I mean, we could literally cone off a roundabout, make people drive around it and see how their speeds are.
Tactical urbanism, yeah, you could.
I like doing the tactical thing. It doesn't cost us anything to try it.
Oh, it'll just confuse people to no end.
You just put up a sign that makes them go in the circle around the cones. Cone it, try it, and see what happens.
Be ultimately up to the highway superintendent.
Chris, you know my answer on roundabout.
Yes, I do.
Right.
I would say if we were going to do that, we would actually probably benefit from trying it. But, I mean, the striping seems like something we could do immediately. So I'm game for whichever direction.
But the accidents aren't actually happening at this S-curve. They're the pickup speed around it.
Yeah.
And so why wouldn't we be entertaining the idea of 2 4-way stops?
They don't work like that.
Yeah, that,
It doesn't work.
you go off the Manual of Uniform Traffic Control Devices, which is a federal document that says stop signs may not be used for speed control. And it has certain volumes that necessitate or warrant a stop sign, and there's just too little volume to warrant those stop signs. And when you put unwarranted stop signs in, now you have people running the stop signs. And
And then we
make
accept the
things
liability
worse, yeah.
that comes with us putting an unwarranted stop sign in. There is I mean, that's, because we're literally not following engineered design, metrics. So if you were going to do that, where would you do it at? Like,
Yeah, I mean,
the issue
is
is
where
the
they're asking.
Corfu, and then around the other S curve, Sunset, when it comes up there from both edges where the blind spot is.
But the issue's not, so the issue with people carrying that speed into a stop sign where people now feel like they should be able to just cross, it's the speed they got to break down in between those stops, right? It's not just at that spot.
And that's also true with unwarranted stop signs. Sometimes it ends up being more speeding in between the two stop signs.
Because they punch their top
Yeah.
speed up higher,
They've
to,
just
knowing
lost
they're
time,
coming
so
to
they
another
feel like
one.
they need to make it up.
Well,
Traffic safety really follows the guidelines pretty closely that's in the manual that Chris was talking about.
what we really need there is a speed hump. Anyways. Well, that's what slows traffic down, right? Narrowing the road, making people go around obstacles is what slows traffic down. There's no on-street parking there?
I believe there is.
Just nobody parks there
Yeah.
because cars leave the road.
In there is people park in front of their houses, and they go in that court, and they tee into the curb, they pull up straight into the curb. And some park on the bend of the curb, some pull in straight.
See, it's not going to go away with the stripe. That stuff's not going to go away with the striping. The only way to make that go away is to change the road geometry.
I'm in favor of the roundabout.
If you bring in a roundabout, you're bringing cars much closer to those homes.
No, but you got to slow down. You can only
Right,
go
I-
through the mini at like 5 miles an hour.
And where are they parking now, Steve? Are they parking in that bend?
They park in the middle of the circle, they park, so if you look at the circle, in
Yep.
front of someone's house, they'll pull off straight into it instead of pulling through the driveway. You know, in there, for cars to go around. Are the accidents coming out
We don't have directional on them.
the Wegmans way in, or are they coming down from the other end? You know?
This was going westbound. This side swipe was going eastbound. And I don't recall what those are. I think this is going eastbound because I put it on that side.
Is it cut through traffic or is it
I
just
mean-
this neighborhood induced?
This is going to get down to verbiage, but I don't think it's cut through because it's not somebody from an arterial cutting through the neighborhood to another arterial.
So it's not
It's
pure cut.
through traffic from the neighborhood.
It's not avoidance. I like the idea of definitely striping it for the season and pursuing a roundabout. That'd be my preference on this one.
I agree.
Me too.
Okay, so
What I'm looking
we'll
for.
have to, I mean, does the striping have to be by resolution?
No.
Okay. So with stripe, Steve, if we want to try out a roundabout, we can try it out with cones, put a plow truck through it or something.
I got no problem with that.
Okay. So maybe before we stripe, Chris, we could dedicate, a week of trying it out with a roundabout and see how the geometries work.
Sounds good?
Because fire's gonna want, I mean, it'll be a mountable curb, obviously, fire won't care ultimately, but,
Right.
yeah, okay. They'll knock all the cones over on the first try. And so will school bus. Is it a bus route?
I don't know, but I'm sure
Okay.
they go
Yes.
through.
So it'll be, the full mini would be mountable, I assume?
Yeah, it's all mountable.
Okay. All right, sounds like we have a direction.
Sounds good, thank you.
Thanks, Chris.
Any opposed to that there? We're good? Angela, what do you want to?
That's fine.
Okay.
Striping's fine.
All right. Okay, the next items on your agenda are town board meeting agenda items. So looking at it, the first one, we have a request to hold or adjourn this to the 25th of March.
Yep.
Second one is miscellaneous sanitary sewer relining and manhole rehab. It's exciting. Okay. And then I assume you're doing the parallel peanut line? Yep, okay. Resolution 117 is the designation of property at 22 Chateau. I think this is still open. I assume we open here and then close it ultimately. And then vote. I would like to vote tonight if that's possible. Then 116 is the local law to enhance transparency. Marty's doing that presentation. Okay. All right. On our resolutions or reports,
Mike is making-
Mike's not here. He sponsored one. I have no problem carrying this. Is any issues with the Government Financial Advisory Board, as Mike has it?
Nope.
Any reason to withhold it from consent? Okay. 177 is mutual confidentiality non-disclosure agreement, CRS 4611, has to do with the Boulevard Mall. And as we get closer to negotiations, obviously, everybody's gonna have to start talking about their finances and financial components of this thing and how they're gonna finance things. So any issues with this? Any reason to withhold it from consent? Resolution 178 is a lease agreement with Musical Fair Theater Company Incorporated, CRS 4622. I think our best look is just to hold this evening. Is there any issues or questions regarding the lease?
I just think it's important for the public to know that Musical Fair is paying a percentage of the theater costs.
A full, right, so it works out to about 125,000 over, or 125 to 150,000 over the time span, but they're paying it up front as an option, so we're seeing the money flow on the front end of the project. We did look at other theater companies. We talked to a lot of people around over the past 6 years, but nevertheless, we can hold the vote on this until this evening. Resolution one, any other questions? Any thoughts? Okay. 179 is service fee agreements. Any questions regarding that? Those, any reason to withhold them from consent? Resolution 180 is a temporary access agreement. Any question regarding that? Any reason to withhold it from consent? Resolution 181 is a settlement of an Article 7 matter with Salem Buffalo LLC versus the Town of Amherst. Any questions regarding that? Any reason to withhold it from consent? Resolution 182 is the NFIP training. Any questions regarding the training approval? Any reason to withhold it from consent? Resolution 183 is an award of bid for a park pavilion improvements, award of bid Progressive Roofing Incorporated, general contract, park pavilion improvements, capital improvements, Town of Amherst, project number 2024-F001. Any questions regarding that award? Any reason to withhold it from consent? Resolution 184, budget transfers and amendments. Any questions about those? Any reason to withhold them from consent? Resolution 185 is T4012 APD Safety Education Trust Account. Any questions regarding that resolution? Any reason to withhold it from consent? Resolution 186 is the use of opioid settlement funds. Any questions regarding that resolution? Any reason to withhold it from consent? Resolution 187 is the vendor name change, Bergman Associates change to Colliers Engineering and Design through Colliers acquisition of Bergman, CRS 4601. Any questions regarding the resolution? Any reason to withhold it from consent? Resolution 188 is an award of bid 2024013 NYS OGS mini bid for 5 Chevrolet Silverado 1500 pickup trucks, CRS 4592. Any questions regarding the resolution? Any reason to withhold it from consent? Resolution 189 is an award of bid 2024012 Senior Center and Youth and Recreation brochures, CRS 4612. Any questions regarding the resolution? Any reason to withhold it from consent? Resolution 190 is an award of RFP 202306, third-party administrator services for workers' compensation, CRS 4613. Any questions regarding the resolution? Any reason to withhold it from consent? Resolution 191 is the Amherst Therapeutic Court Director to attend the NYCPG conference. Any questions regarding that resolution? Any reason to withhold it from consent? Resolution 192 is the Towmaster Heavy Equipment Trailer Model T 70RG CRS 4586. Any questions regarding the resolution? Any reason to withhold it from consent? Resolution 193 is a purchase of one wood and brush chipper, CRS 4591. Any questions regarding the resolution? Any reason to withhold it from consent? Resolution 194 is a recreation attendant, part-time youth and rec. Any questions about the appointment? Any reason to withhold it from consent? Resolution 195 is a recreation attendant, part-time youth and rec. Any questions regarding that appointment? Any reason to withhold it from consent? Resolution 196 is a wastewater treatment plant operator trainee, engineering plant number 16. Any questions regarding the resolution? Any reason to withhold it from consent? Resolution 197 is a program leader, youth and recreation. Any questions regarding the appointment? Any reason to withhold it from consent? Resolution 198 is an assistant plumber, the engineering department, plant 16. Any questions regarding the resolution? Any reason to withhold it from consent? Resolution 199 is an approval for the supervisor to execute a construction bidding and administration agreement with Belmont Housing Resources for Western New York Incorporated for an ADU program, CRS 4614. Any questions regarding the approval? Any reason to withhold it from consent? Resolution 200 is an authorization to pay vendor Eagle Point Gun. Any questions regarding the resolution? Any reason to withhold that from consent? Resolution 201 is a Senior Service Advisory Board bylaws. Any questions regarding those bylaws? Any reason to withhold the approval from consent? Resolution 202 is in Town of Amherst bid 202-2005, organic polymer flocculant extension agreement. Thank you. Selenis LLC CRS 4599. Any questions regarding the resolution? Any reason to withhold that from consent? Resolution 203 is an employee respirator physical fit testing, AccuStar Workplace Compliant LLC, CRS 4609. Any questions regarding the resolution? Any reason to withhold it from consent? Resolution 204 is an award of bid Progressive Roofing Incorporated, WPCF, Roofing System Improvements, Town of Amherst, project number 2016.002B. Any questions regarding the resolution? Any reason to withhold them from consent? Resolution 205 is WPCF Centrifuge number 6, critical repair, Alpha Laval Incorporated, CRS 4610D. Any questions regarding the resolution? Any reason to withhold it from consent? Resolution 206 is the Town of Amherst bid 202-3003 sodium bisulfite PVS chemical solution, CRS 4600. Any questions regarding the resolution? Any reason to withhold it from consent? Resolution 207 is an award of bid for Hunting Valley Construction Incorporated, utility repair and construction work, Town of Amherst, job 2024.005. Any questions regarding the resolution? Any reason to withhold it from consent? Communication 11 is the 2023 Amherst Disability Committee Annual Report. Any questions regarding the communication? I recommend we receive this, refer it to town clerk's office, the town
It's already on
senior
the
services.
website.
Yeah, okay. So senior services, anybody else that we need to send this to? Recommend we do that via consent. Any reason not to? Communication 12 is 2023 Town of Amherst Historic Preservation Commission Annual Report. I recommend we receive this, refer this to the clerk's office, the town planning department, and a town attorney. Anyone else we need to incorporate there? Any reason not to do that via consent? Communication 13, notice of claim for State Farm Mutual Automobile Insurance Company, ASO Mario Avarello versus the town of Amherst. Recommend we receive this and refer to the town attorney. Any reason not to do that via consent? Communication 14 is a notice of claim Anthony Goldsmith versus the town of Amherst. I recommend we receive this and refer to the town attorney as well. Any reason not to do that via consent? Communication 15 is a notice of claim for Louise Lally versus the town of Amherst. Recommend we receive this and refer to the town attorney. Any reason not to do that via consent? And communication 16 is the summons and complaint for Nation Star Mortgage LLC versus the town of Amherst et al. Recommend we receive this and refer to the town attorney as well. Any reason not to do that via consent? We do have a couple of items on executive session. The first has to do with contract negotiations. We have personnel related contract negotiations. We also have acquisition contract negotiation for property. This has to do with the Boulevard Mall. And then the second is a personnel matter specific to individuals. I'm going to ask to adjourn to executive session. to deal with those-
Supervisor, may I just need one update on a pending litigation as well.
Add pending litigation to that. Okay. Recommend that we adjourn to executive session at this time.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?